Welcome to SOUQ Pulse. It's a beautiful rainy day in Lagos, Nigeria. For those that are still wondering, yes, the most populous black nation in the world. And for those that are still wondering, yes, West Africa. Once you get there, ask for where Lagos is and you can't miss it. It's a beautiful, beautiful city to be in. And the rains have just come and been a blessing. Welcome to SOUQ Pulse. We are still here live on SOUQ News. We are all about positive programming. And on SOUQ Pulse, you know what it is like. We'll tell you, don't keep quiet. We've been talking about productivity for as long as we can remember, and we won't stop. We look for the leakages and we say, hey, let's block it. We look for those particular places that businesses are not doing well or doing very well. We say, hey, let's talk about it. We look at those particular policies that governments are making and they are getting it right. We say, hey, let's shout it. Then for those ones that we are not too sure, say, hey, let's talk about it and let government or whoever, whatever organization get to hear and tweak it. Then we also talk about those loans that we are taking or we are giving, and we ask at the end of the day, is it the best for us? A SOUQ Pulse, where we don't keep quiet. My name is SOUQ, John Rogers SOUQ. Today we will talk about something that concerns all of us, something we enjoy doing, something we enjoy watching, something we quarrel over, shout over, scream over. And unfortunately, some people have gone to the great beyond doing what they like. But now we're asking, are we making money? Is it economically viable? Or is just for fun? We are looking at sports. Yes, you heard me right. S-P-O-R-T-S, sports. And we're looking at the business of sports. Now we are saying get productive. So we look at every sector Africa is playing. Every sector Africa has been blessed with. Every sector there is to make that foreign earner, to make sure Africa join the fray and get racing. Now we are looking at sports. For everybody out there, you know that we are endowed when it comes to sports. But now, who is benefiting more? That's what we'll be talking about today. We're looking at the business of sport, and we're asking this direct question. Is sports economy growing in Africa? Now look around you. Your city, your state, your country. Is sports economy growing around? What exactly are you people doing? Are you just sending talent? Or are you just waiting and watching what's happening outside? That's what we'll be going to. Now, globally, 2022, there was this particular projection that sports sector was generating about 512 billion. Way more than that, but that's just for bookkeeping. And that was projected to go about 624 by 2027. Remember again, that's bookkeeping. Now, if we get to ask ourselves this particular question, of these monies that are being pushed around, what percentage is Africa not just generating, but coming into the coffers of Africa? Now, I am going to introduce my guest, and you will know that, yes, they will do justice to this. To start this is a veteran journalist, someone that has been a teacher within here and outside here. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome to SOUQ Pulse for several times. This is not just his first time. Our own Baba Bayo Olaoye. Sir, you're welcome to SOUQ Pulse.
Good afternoon. Good.
It's a pleasure having you, sir.
Yes, I'm delighted.
Thank you. So today we'll be talking about sports, not just sports for this particular day. We'll talk about sports before yesterday, today, they were also projected. Now we have someone that is way, way younger, and he'll be talking majorly about what is happening now, streaming services, and projection that we should look forward to. I have a sports analyst also in-house, Kelvin Ojevia. You're welcome to SOUQ Pulse.
Thank you very much, SOUQ. I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
I'm very, very glad to be here.
Yes, you should be. Like, this is your first time on SOUQ Pulse.
This is my first time.
You're welcome. So now let's open up this floor and ask this straight question. Is sports a business or a recreation or a hobby in Africa?
Thank you very much, SOUQ. I would say categorically, clearly, that sports is a recreation in Africa because we are not taking it seriously. We don't have the data, we don't have government commitment, we don't have trained personnel to do the marketing. Banks don't even support sports. So it's a recreation. And maybe later on we'll go. It's a recreation because government is not willing to allow the private sector to take over sports. Government interference in all African countries is aborting plans for progress in sports.
Government
involvement, government interference. Because they provide the funds, they tend to control activities within the federations.
Okay, so, government is paying the piper right now.
That's what they say. He who pays the piper dictates the tune.
Okay.
But that is not helping the issue.
It's not helping the issue.
And I would say that...
before you go for that, let's also get to ask. Now, when it's time for any major political event, we now see a whole lot of money coming into sports. Is it also more of a political game within Africa?
For instance, here in Nigeria, tomorrow now we'll be meeting South Africa or something. We'll be playing the match tomorrow.
Yes.
You'll find everybody coming out to support Nigeria. Therefore, we can say categorically clearly that sports is a tool for national unity.
Definitely.
In Nigeria here. But have we exploited that tool effectively? Expect when there are elections are coming, and people give promises about sports promotion. But it's never done. We have 19 international stadia in Nigeria for football. And
we'll get there.
Yes,
we'll get to that particular place. Now I know you are more of a harbinger of those history. Yes. We are really going to pull from that stock. Now, Kelvin, let me come to you. You are very conversant with what happens outside this climb.
Okay.
I know because I've observed a lot. Now you see the way a lot of sports is run outside Nigeria, outside Africa, and you now see what is happening here. What are we on the right track when it comes to business?
I don't know what now. So when it comes to business in business of sport in Africa, I will not say we are on the right track. Let's take Nigeria for example. I don't think we have taken sport. We've seen sport as business in Nigeria, or probably we know about the. I won't say this directly that the government is stopping people from investing in it, but if you check around the world, you notice that people are investing in sport. A lot of companies are investing in sport because they know how lucrative it is now.
Are they investing because they are investing? They're investing as part of the company or part of the franchise.
They are investing as part of it because that's
part of the franchise.
Yes, because no one will actually want to invest in money, his or her money in a place that won't last long. They know the benefit that they will get from it. So we have not actually come to the realization that there is a lot to make if we develop sport in Africa.
Whose duty to develop it?
The government.
If you say the government's duty to develop it, then why are you saying government is getting too involved?
Okay. Let me put it this way. Now, there are a lot of money allocated for sports in Nigeria.
Okay.
Definitely, there is someone in charge of the federation.
Okay. Which of the federations?
I'm talking about the football federation.
There are
different
football is just one of the federations.
For all.
Okay.
For all. What? How many of them will you actually say is actually putting the money that is being given out? How many are we seeing it?
Allegedly.
If we go away from sports,
let me come to you. Let me come to you. Let's look at the federations he just mentioned, and let's look at all the various federations, not just that of football.
27 of them.
Thank you very much. Now, do they have their respective leagues running aside that of football? Because we know there's a football league running. No, we know with the basketball, volleyball, handball, swimming, tennis, do they have leagues or tournaments running, and are they business focused?
Let me focus on basketball, because I played basketball when I was in school, when I was in Lola College.
Okay.
You can see the situation of the game of basketball in Nigeria now. The scam and the shame of having two different associations running basketball. You know there's a controversy with basketball now. I think we have two federations. And there's so much anguish and so much controversy concerning Nigerian basketball. And with all the stars that we have all over the world, we cannot even produce. We have two teams, so I heard. So basketball is not getting the attention from sponsorship because of the chaos and the mismanagement in basketball among the personnel, among the management, among the coaches. Now, if you go down to swimming, nothing is happening in swimming at all.
Nothing is happening in swimming at all. With all the ocean, seas, lagoons.
If you recall, 5 years ago, there was a gentleman from Nigeria who was the vice president of the World Swimming Federation. We couldn't tap on that expertise and that exposure to bring in officials to train our people on management of basketball. So basketball is down, swimming is down, athletics.
So, look, you are even pulling out another issue of management in the first place.
So, don't throw it, you can't throw it all at government.
Okay.
In fact, the federations are not properly run. You see the way elections are held, the bitterness, the rancor during elections of federations. It shows that they are just there for the pot of mesh.
Okay, which means a lot of these federations, since we're having issues of 2 federations for all particular sports,
yes,
a lot of the federations are just looking forward to where the money is coming from.
That's right, absolutely. That's right.
So they're just
and the money is coming from government.
So they're just concerned about the money. Let's get the money and leave it.
Recruitment, searching for talent, scouting for talents, infrastructure, sporting calendar will suffer. And no man wants to put his money where there's so much controversy. With all the talents we have in basketball, can you imagine?
Okay. Now you've mentioned talent. Let's follow your line of conversation. Now Africa is known for her talent.
Yeah.
In all sports. Let's just give an example. For marathon, forget it. Nobody come close. Nobody. Africa will come first, second, third. If there is 100, Africa will come 100.
Table tennis.
Table tennis, Africa is still there, but China is beating us. Now, athletics. Now, Africa is still there, but they are all outside Africa.
Yes.
For football, Africa is still there, but they are all outside Africa. For basketball, Africa is still there, but they are all outside Africa. Now, you are looking at African talent. We've been known to export talent across the globe. Aside exporting talent, what else?
For us to get investment, I think we have to enter into agreements with advanced countries on technology, using technology for sports, to be able to develop our stars and to train the trainers.
Which of the stars? The ones there or the ones
here? The ones here, the local talents.
Okay.
We're not doing much. In our own days, we used to have Greer competition. That was a top athletic competition. We used to have the basic inter-house sports that generates talent locally are absent or are fading away. I haven't gone to any inter-house sports for years, and I'm surprised. So the grassroots development is not there because there are no trained technicians or administrators to look for these talents and nurture them. And that has to do with the federations. The federations are not properly run.
The federations are not properly run.
Okay.
Now, let me come to you. To what extent should government get involved in sport?
I would say 50%.
Define 50%.
Now, when I say 50%, you make your appointment and make the right appointment, because most
government can make appointments. Government can only send the money. It's the federation's responsibility to do the elections.
Okay. So when it comes to government sends the money, right? So
based on the federation budget.
This budget and their decisions. Okay. Now, the reason why I said 50% is because the money comes from there. Give them the money and allow them to do whatever they want to do.
Whatever.
Not whatever, not really whatever they want to do. Give them the money, allow them to do what they think. And now, you've given them this money. Make sure they show you the result or the proof of whatever they're using the money for. I think there is lack of management, lack of monitoring what these guys uses this money for. That's actually
Don't you see it like as if the government itself is not still seeing sports as a business? Because if they are seeing it as a business whereby there should be a return back to government, then they will do things differently. It's just like the way government will wake up and look at customs and tell customs by the end of this year, if you like or you don't like, you better bring it
government has this
to
attitude.
government coffers.
Government has this fire brigade approach to everything. A competition is coming, and 3 months to the competition, you find government looking for budgets to sponsor training
Camps.
tours, training camps. You find government interfering in elections. You find government, interfering in the selection of coaches, and sometimes government interfering in the selection of the team. There was a day, there was a time, it was in the news, there was a time when a former minister of Nigeria went to watch a football match concerning the Super Eagles, and he wanted to go into this, the dressing room at halftime. And the coach said, no, you are the sports mentor, yes, but I'm the coach. What are you going to tell them inside? And the government has this attitude that whenever our team gets to a crucial stage of a competition, you can find the government delegation going there to interfere in what is going on. These are subtle interferences that are unprofessional and portrays us as a government, as a country that is not serious with sports.
Okay. Now, let's take an example. We've talked about government involvement, government this, government that. Well, they are still paying. Now, let's take another example. People say government should take their hands off sports. But now, let's look at Saudi Arabia. In the last 3 years, majorly in the last, although they started before that, but in the last 3 years, it's been major. Saudi Arabia has come up with PFI, the Public Investment Fund. It's 100% state-sponsored. And they've drawn major sports federations from across the world into Saudi Arabia. You will see for football, you hear the biggest names all across the world coming to play in the league. Same thing is happening in tennis. Same thing is happening in golf. They even have LIV. They have invitationals for tennis. The best, every A-list is coming there to play. Now, what most people don't understand is at the end of the day, tourism has been boosted. PR is 100%. Everybody is seeing Saudi Arabia in a very good light. Then partnerships to several other businesses are opening up. And they are opening up the country unlike what it used to be before. But this is 100% state-sponsored. And to make the matters very funny, they are making profits off it, monetary-wise. So where can Africa start emulating this kind of...
You'll be surprised that I don't support or I'm not inclined to this Saudi Arabia initiative. Because but it is not nurturing local talents. You can bring the best to your country, yes, but what is left of the national team, the national team itself,
now
made up of indigenous local players.
Until Saudi Arabia opened up their league, their football league, their football players are doing better now. Because they are playing with the best. Yes, their football players are doing better now. Now they also can boast of tennis players playing in the open. They can also boast of golf players playing, which was never, who would hear about it. But this is also favoring the players apart from the businesses there. So then now let's talk about what's happening in boxing. Every major boxing bout is happening in Saudi Arabia. But there is no one single Saudi Arabian guy that's throwing a punch. Not one. They are not built for fights. But they are making the money.
Let me add in something from what Mr. Bayo said. If, for example, in Africa, if we decide to bring in one of our local leagues, imagine we bring someone like Messi to play with us. Let's assume he's been signed in one of our local leagues. So definitely...
We can't pay him.
I know we can't. We can't pay. I know we can't, but if we bring someone like that here,
we still can't pay him.
It's going to be an encouragement.
Definitely.
Yes, it's like a brand on its own already. It's a brand already. So people try to focus on African football, focus on Nigeria leagues. The leagues are going on, but it's as if nothing is even happening.
Yes. Yes. Now, okay, following your chain of thoughts, this happened a lot in Brazil. If you watch, most major Brazilian players, once it's time for Copa America or any of their major leagues, when any of their continental competitions, or World Cup, even World Cup, when they are not being utilized in their clubs, they take permission and go back to Brazil and go to a league to go and play. And that gives them access to be able to get match fitness and get into that competition. And most of them, even when they want to retire, they retire back to Brazil. Shouldn't Africa start looking towards that? That way, we'll be able to grow our own league. True. Because that person is coming with experience.
Let's look at the basic issue, gentlemen. The playing pitch itself, infrastructure. How many international viable stadia that we can use internationally? We have about 19.
Okay.
But all of them are dilapidated. And people are saying, will you sell them? Will you give them to state government? Nobody has said anything about that. That is a wasteful expenditure. What should we do with the 19 international world-class stadia that we have?
That were built.
That were built for a particular World Cup competition. But are they still there?
Several World Cup, not just one.
So let's start with the infrastructure. Why have the Super Eagles decided to go to Euro to camp when they could have done it in Liberty Stadium in Ibadan, or could have done it in Adamasigba, or even Onikon here. But because that's the only one that is available, all the others are in a bad state. Infrastructure is basic. If you want to tell the ball, you want to show a boy how to trap the ball, it must be on a good playing field. We don't have that, and that is basic.
Okay, now if
and our players always complain. Super Eagles players always complain about the pitch.
Okay.
No, that is not.
That is the one we see. We see the pitch regularly. What about other facilities within the stadium that we don't get to see?
Incentives. So I find that federations, every time there's always a controversy about allowances for our athletes.
Let's go to several franchises that is mind-blowing. Let's talk about the NBA.
That's awesome.
Now, the NBA itself is richer than several African countries.
It's a function of marketing and a function of efficiency.
Function of marketing
and efficiency.
Now, the NBA has
If I want to draw you back, in this country, there was a gentleman called Patrick Opomo.
Okay.
He was one of the best sports administrators Nigeria has ever had. Since then, nothing has happened. We must produce people like that, who can go to international conferences and insist on the rights of Nigerians, who know, somebody who knows the politics of sports in Africa, who knows the politics between the Francophone and the Anglophone. I've been in the NUJ for about over 50 years now, and I've attended conferences at the NUJ, the African Union of Journalists, where you see the Francophone journalists, the attitude to us from the Anglophone is terrible. And that flows down to competitions, it flows down to regulations, it flows down to appointments in African sports. So we don't have the personnel. We have the National Institute of Sport there. But are they churning out the administrators that we want for us to push sports forward and get sponsorship? No, I don't think so.
Okay. Now, push sports forward and get sponsorship, it's a yes, it's also a major. But now, for the NBA, 99.999% of every of those clubs are private owned. Then some are community owned, but majorly private invested. And a lot of them are all quoted companies. Funny side of it. Now, the NBA have gone beyond just the borders of the US. They take the NBA to China, they take it to the Middle East, and they are planning to bring the NBA to Africa. And hope you know that each place where they go to, they go and make money.
True.
Why is Africa not thinking towards that?
Because
what sports can we develop and it to be a national foreign earner?
Football. And that's where the federation comes in, the Nigerian Football Federations. Transfer market is there open and people are exploiting our players. We should use that to generate money. Any Nigerian player that is going outside must be able, any team that takes any Nigerian player from here must be able to pay something to the coffers of the NFF so that generates some amount of foreign exchange for them.
That is a law in Brazil.
But so we don't have that on the ground, and so you find our boys helplessly and innocently signing contracts that are inimical to their group progress because they don't have guidance, and there's no administrative backup by the NFF. The NFF is just there to talk about the penalties for clubs, and I cannot say.
Clubs that are owned by government?
They're not supervising.
Okay, now let's get back to you. Now, Baba brought about
developing football.
That's okay. If we're saying, okay, NBA, what closest do we have here in Africa that we can develop? He said football. And now if we look at Nigeria, NFL. Now, is there any likelihood? Because 99.999% of these football clubs are owned by government. Do you see any workability there?
For we to develop football?
Yes, using these clubs that are owned by government.
I think this is the part where government not fully take off their hands from it, allow the private sector to manage these clubs. Because for every, Africans to a very great extent, we have this, nonchalant, some of us have this nonchalant attitude when it comes to the government sector. If I work, I'll get paid. If I don't work, or get paid as well. But if
You
it's
mean people working in the public sector?
Thank you, in the public sector. But
that's a generalization.
If you have
that is still a generalization.
Okay. So if it's being managed by a private sector, these people are goal driven. They are focused. They know they're
What is stopping private people from forming their own clubs or buying over those clubs?
What if the government doesn't want to sell?
What is stopping them from getting their own clubs? Have they not seen the business? Okay, let's go back to NBA. Dallas Mavericks was sold some months back.
Yes. Okay, so a very good test. I would say probably they've not seen the business aspect of sport.
I'm sure the billions is ringing in your head.
Yeah, they've not because if you call an average child,
30% of it, not even 100%.
So if you call an average child on the street and like when you say sport, what comes to his head or her head? It tells you football. So football is one of the general sports that everyone knows. So if we can actually tap into it, so we will definitely, if we can tap and start seeing the business aspect of it, it's going to be a win-win for both parties.
Okay. In 2022, 759 African professionals were involved in transfers across Europe. Alone.
Africans?
Yes. Alone. Just like Baba was saying, if there's a means of getting tax from this 759, or a means of a follow-up in one way or the other to see that a form of something, a contribution somehow gets back to their various countries. How can we start that? How can we hold the clubs responsible for the movement of African players from clubs, from no matter whether those in major leagues or minor leagues, whatever division? How can Africa start tapping into that?
Let me say from onset that government has no business in business. Government has no business in business. The private sector knows how to generate funds and how to market itself. So leave the 19 stadia that we have now. Let them give them to each club in our own Premiership League, and you have solved the problem of infrastructure. Then let the club itself, organize its marketing and its communication strategies to attract sponsors.
Okay, the 19...
Government can supervise.
Come again, I need you to say that. I need to say that thing again, like loudly, with your full chest. The 19 stadia we have now, it should be given to...
private sector.
The clubs.
Yes.
We have 20 clubs in our Premiership League.
Okay.
And we can just develop one more, and we have 20. Why not give each club
a
stadium to manage? You have solved the problem of infrastructure.
Okay.
You have solved the problem of training. You have also solved the problem of supportership. Because don't forget that also it generates funds.
Okay, where at least
we have not looked at that at all. Supportership.
We claim ownership.
Yes. Glo was spending hundreds of millions of naira on the supporters club, and at the time it withdrew because this same issue of government interference. The private sector will not get itself involved in any project that is controversial and is dividing the country, and it's not professional. Once the supporters club broke into two, the sponsor just withdrew his sponsorship and was watching. And that's why supportership in Nigeria is suffering. And that also can generate funds. Because at a time, our supporters club was adjudged the best in the world.
Yes, definitely.
But that is not the case now.
Okay.
So it's a multi-dimensional thing. We haven't gotten it right. We haven't gotten it right.
So back to what the question you asked when you said how can our players being signed out, how can we make revenue from them? Now the first question we should ask ourselves is, these players before they get signed, were they signed from our local league first? Okay,
were they signed from our local league?
So you cannot benefit from where you cannot reap from where you didn't sow. You understand? You didn't give these players, or you are not the body that pushed this player, that market these players to this big, well-known club. They fought their way there on their own, and now you want to start making benefit from there. Okay, now let's look at it beyond the fight. Now we have several sporting agents. We have several agencies. Now, 99.999% of agencies are not African agencies.
99.99% of agencies and agents representing these players
are not
African agencies. So at what point should Africa start playing a role for every African coming out from an African club?
Now, not even now. From now,
I was talking about administrators. We don't have enough. We don't have enough of administrators. Sports administrators can tell you that this contract is wrong. We don't have enough that can guide the various federations on what to do. We don't have enough sports administrators, because don't forget that even some governors, to show their imperial power, control most of these football clubs we have. I cannot talk about Enyimba. Enyimba seems the only club that has really established itself as a privately owned club and is trying to make a headway. The others are government-sponsored and government-tutored and government-controlled.
Right.
That doesn't bring efficiency. And you cannot sell that to somebody who wants to invest his money.
Yeah.
Look at our Challenge Cup.
What happened to the Challenge Cup? That should be a question. What I grew up seeing the Challenge Cup.
People were coming all the way from Sokoto, Kaduna to come to this Unicon Stadium to watch the Challenge Cup. What happened? Corruption, inefficiency, government interference,
mismanagement.
Loss of accountability and loss of integrity.
Integrity.
Okay. Now let's take another example. Now everybody grew up. Okay, for those that were in my generation, then I think maybe your generation. I think more your generation. We grew up watching wrestling.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then came WWF. WWE, one of them.
WWE.
Then came UFC, Mixed Martial Arts.
Yes.
Now Mixed Martial Arts and WWF merged and formed TKO as a major franchise. At the point of merger, it was 21.4 billion US dollars. That's like more than the budget of Nigeria last year. Now, this is sport. Is it that African companies, African entrepreneurs, sport enthusiasts are not seeing things like this that go beyond the shores of Africa? Because each time you tune on your cable TV to watch, you are paying money to do UFC.
True.
Whether you like it or not. So they are making money off everybody's across the globe. What are we not seeing?
We are not seeing government will to let off sports. Government wants to control sports, and that won't work. It can't work. It didn't work before. It can't work now. There are many enthusiastic tycoons who want to invest in sports, but these distractions of corruption, inefficiency, chaos, controversy, it stops them. We should just decide to appeal to government to lay off sports. Let sports administrators, let investors handle sports. And then the talents are there.
Definitely, the
talents are there. You'll be surprised that after Atonda Musa, in late table tennis now, they are producing some youngsters that are amazing. It's unbelievable. Table tennis. Now, that has to do with a little bit of sponsorship, partnership with foreign companies, and coaches. The coaches were very good. So, by the time these people grow up, you find that government doesn't have a sustainable program for them.
Government, okay, now.
So who takes over from?
Okay, Kelvin, I'm coming to you now. For those that are wondering, I'm coming back to you. I'm looking at the particular 19 stadium Baba was talking about. Now, for Toronto Raptors, their stadium is just 20,000 people. And they went into partnership with Scotia Bank for 800 million for naming. So Scotia has the right to name of the stadium for 10 years for 800 million. I think I need to repeat that thing again. 800 million. Now we have a 19 stadia, beautifully built, more than 20,000, most of them.
Wasting away.
All across Nigeria. I'm not talking about those in other African countries or those that were built in Cote d'Ivoire for the Nations Cup. is it possible that just as Baba said, we can say, okay, hey, clubs, come take this stadium, pay us back in 50 years or in 70 years, and make this your home ground? How can we start saying, okay, government, take your hand, let us get this thing as business?
Okay. First of all, I want you to rephrase the question.
How can we emulate what Toronto Raptors have done? Now, yes, I know it's their stadium. Yes, good. But now we still have the same stadium here. And it's empty. Because someone was making a joke the other day about looking for a tractor to go clear grass in the stadium. I won't talk about the country, but...
Because of mismanagement.
Exactly. But now, these are venues where millions can be made in return. There are certain stadiums in England right now that if you want to book, you have to join the queue. Because 12 months down, they already have bookings. Concerts are there. Conferences are there. There are a whole lot of activities, all because there is a name attached to that venue. Why are we leaving our own venues to waste?
Okay, so like Baba Olaoye said, the problem has always been management. And I know there are some...
Whose management?
From the government managing the
should government manage it in the first
They should not. They should not. They should go. I think they should go into partnership with some of this private sector, because it is very easy for the government to set up an infrastructure. Very easy, but after setting it up, managing is actually the issue. That's
government building infrastructure is contract. Built, awarded, contract completed, money paid. Let's build the next one.
Then after that, who manages it? Nobody.
How many groundsmen do we have in Nigeria that can properly manage it? I know 4 in Nigeria. I can't name any other person. 4 groundsmen that can handle a stadium with all the facilities. Professional people who know the type of grass
that is needed there.
That is needed on a particular pitch. We don't have them. Those are little bits that makes for efficiency and professionalism.
But if we had this stadium all functioning, we will have more of them, because this 4 will train more people.
Definitely. Yes, and people will come out and watch football. People will come out when they know that they are safe, that it's near, it's affordable.
The place is neat.
The place is neat. They can go with their family. There's security. People watch English Premiership because of these little things that I've been talking about. Look at the pleasant pictures. Look at the pleasant pictures
of the environment.
That you will see on the screen.
You want to be there.
Let's move forward. Talking about watching. Let's move forward. Now let's go to sports broadcasting.
Oh, okay.
Now, when we get to sports broadcasting, the funny part that most people don't understand, let's start calling their name. Disney. What's their name? The other Cartoon Network that are majored in cartoon. A lot of the movie networks, their names are running off my head right now. Every of them have started coming into sports broadcasting. They are in sports broadcasting already. What is Africa waiting for?
Broadcast rights.
Aside the big one that we don't want to call their name, that's coming from South Africa.
Broadcast rights. Broadcast rights. That's a big problem for Africa now. In our own days, you know the legendary Shola Folorunso. That man was being heard all over Nigeria in those days. Did he bring up people? Yes, he did. But color, color commentary now on radio is gone. Except Nigeria Info and maybe one other station. Color radio commentary is gone. And that's the beauty of broadcasting. It's the beauty of broadcast rights. When you get television stations, radio stations involved in your league, that is not happening.
Okay, now
because of this issue of inefficiency.
Whose responsibility is it to get them?
NFF.
Is it just NFF?
NFF, yes. NFF.
Okay, but now, if we leave NFF out of this,
if NFF goes around the media stations, and tells them that our league starts in 2 months' time, it starts in 3 months' time. These are the developments that have gone on. These are what we are looking at. We want you to partner with us, give us some airtime, and they will go into the details. That enough will attract some media houses to be interested. And
depending when money starts coming in.
Depending when money starts coming. Because
but should NFF or any other league outside Africa, should they start putting monetary terms to their broadcast rights when the quality is not out, is not like big or known out there yet?
I think they should get the audience first before they
start monetizing.
Yes.
Apart from Nigeria and South Africa, I can't think of any league that is worth putting forward.
What about the East African leagues?
We have some, but you see, it's a question
Tunisia,
of pitches.
Algeria,
We are talking about the
Egypt,
pitches.
Morocco,
Okay, North Africa, yes. We're talking about East Africa, Zambia. I've seen some terrible pitches.
East Africa.
Worse than it's all whatever there. You know? Issue of pitches. And that's why we don't play good football in Africa, because the pitches are not good enough.
Okay. Now, also looking at the broadcast landscape.
And then there's something they are doing now that is, what do you call these pitches that they use now?
The
AstroTurf.
AstroTurf. AstroTurf is not good for football. You can't find professional footballers playing on AstroTurf. It's for schoolboys. So, you see, particularly this Onikon, I was very critical about it, and the people thought I was being unnecessarily envious or whatever. I told them, you can't use AstroTurf for international matches and league matches and try to produce stars. The bounce of the ball, the rhythm of the ball, everything will change apart from a normal grass.
Okay.
So there we got it wrong there, because there's no technical person to tell government
to advise them in this part.
They tell you the technical department, they are all talking about how to bring in players or bring in their players. They are not looking at the nitty-gritty of football itself.
Okay, now let's
for instance, the referees. Let's look at our referees.
Let's leave referees. We are looking at business now, and we're allowed to get money into the sport, getting Africa to see the bigger picture. Broadcasting is evolving, and it's evolving very fast. Now we've not left, but we are going to leave the big screen and get to smaller screens, and that is where streaming comes in, and that is what is driving the numbers right now. 99.99% of streaming platforms are not African streaming platforms.
True.
What are we waiting for?
What are we waiting for?
Then I put that in the
even
at the footsteps of our media organizations.
Which of the media organizations?
All of us.
All of us. Okay.
Because
Kelvin, hold on. Do you think it's media organizations or people that are not seeing the picture?
People are not seeing the picture. Not just media organizations. People are not seeing it. For example, if you decide to broadcast a particular sports show with pidgin, people, especially in Nigeria, people want to listen to it. It is going to sound.
You don't need to start big.
You don't need to start big. It's going to sound funny.
Don't you think you need rights to broadcast in the first place?
Broadcast rights, yes.
That's why I say, okay. Even if there you need the right, but you still. That's why I'm saying that it's not just the media houses. A private sector can just come and say, this is what I actually want to do, and they pay for the right and they do it.
It's not cheap.
I know. Because definitely...
I know we have to correct the attitude of financial institutions, especially banks, who look on sports as a kind of idle vocation or idle profession. But with the likes of, with our boys coming up now internationally, people are getting... The banks are reticent about giving loans or supporting sports. First Bank, yes, maybe Zenith Bank in basketball. First Bank in basketball. No one else.
Okay.
All the sports are suffering because federations are not making marketing efforts to attract sponsorship.
Okay, now let's also look at it from this other angle. I was trying to remember those major names. I'm remembering Disney. I'm remembering Warner Brothers. I'm remembering some other ones. Now, these are all coming into streaming platform. And to make matters worse, at the particular point in time, they wanted to merge and get one platform, and the smaller one say it's not going to happen.
What happened to us?
So if they have seen this as a major earner for tomorrow, I'm still wondering why Africans are not seeing. I'm still wondering why Africans are not seeing that.
And I think one other issue with media, should I say, why we've not really seen this big picture is we trying to do this thing ourselves. Partnership matters.
Okay.
3 media houses can come together and let's mesh together and get this swimming right, and when the money comes, we split it equally. Partnership, merger can also help in issues like this.
Okay. Now let's look at sports brands. For most people that are wondering, a lot of Asian money went into the Premiership.
Yeah.
A lot of Saudi money and Arab money went into the Premiership. Now let's look at the major brands. Sport kits. What we are getting to see now that a lot of the Asian money that went to the Premiership had some other motive to open up that particular market for Asian sports kits.
Just like Wolf. Yes.
Why is Africa still sleeping on it? We don't have any major African brand kitting African clubs. Let's even leave the international market.
Good question.
There are a lot of clubs around Africa. Why can't we have African brands?
Good question,
African
clubs? Because when this season, when the last season was to start, the Nigerian Premier League, when it was to start, somebody raised the question of kitting local industries or local companies in Nigeria, kitting all our football teams in the 3 divisions. That why are you bringing what's it called now? These brands that come in on the place from outside. Why do you have to all the time use foreign exchange to bring in these kits when locally we can
make some of
I see 3SC tried it. I think they're using the local manufacturing. That is a way to not only to encourage local entrepreneurs, but to save funds. I dare say. To save funds, I dare say.
It's going to be cheaper,
Yes,
and easily affordable compared to importing it from outside.
And the
brands
also going to grow.
And to push the brand up.
Yes.
Don't forget we are over to push the brand up.
Yes.
Okay. It's always a pleasure when we talk about things that we think we should be doing, and it's pinching us and we are not doing it. It gets interesting doing the talking, but it gets very bitter saying it, because you just look at yourself and ask yourself some particular questions. Why?
I am passionate about this issue because, we started this Sports Writers Association in 1977.
Okay.
The late Yinka Craig,
Swan.
Fabio Alanipekun, and so on and so forth. And these are issues that we have been talking about since then.
We can't still be talking about it.
Look
now.
at us now.
Things must change.
Things must change.
Things must change.
We have a new coach now, and he has appointed some assistants, but one of them is saying that I cannot take this kind of. There's no touching.
We won't
go into that.
We won't go that way. I want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on SOUQ Pulse. It's always a pleasure having you.
I've enjoyed myself.
Thank you very much. Kelvin, thank you very much for being here. And to everyone that was part of SOUQ Pulse today, we had to go all this way and talk about things that, the simplest of things they say are the best things to do in business. When you can't explain your business in 2 sentences, then, bro, rethink it. We can be productive. It's looking at us in the face. We've talked about sports today, and we've gone through and seen that it is possible. If the will is there, we will find the way and get productive. Now, government has its part to play, but we can't depend on government and keep pushing the buck to government. It's me, it's you. Every brand needs to get active. We can't keep looking and watching and sending our hard-earned money across the border and enriching those people that are way, way ahead of us. Let's get busy. Let's change the narrative. Africa is mine, is yours, and it is all of us that will put our hands together and make it better. Nobody is coming from heaven to change it for us. My name is SOUQ, John Roger SOUQ. We'll do this again tomorrow, Friday. Have a beautiful evening.